Hi, good people. Hello. How's everyone tonight? Oh boy. Welcome to October. I thought I would hop on and take a few questions tonight. The VA system is down, and I have an extra couple minutes because I can't do work actively. So I thought I would take some questions tonight, just an October roundup. Let me know what you have going on. Where are y'all from this evening? I see Savannah, Georgia in the house. Let's see. Savannah, Georgia. Hello, grill is looking great. It's not fixed yet. I still have a dental situation going on. Probably till probably until January, and then it should be resolved. But it won't defer me from taking questions from you all. Maryland, wow. Havana, Florida. Hawaii in the house. Texas, Georgia, Killeen, Texas. I have some clients from there. Killeen. I have a lot of clients in Texas, but um, number of clients from that particular area. I don't know why. My YouTube friend, Chicago, Illinois, Pueblo, Colorado, Delaware, New York, all around the country we've got tonight. So I'm ready to take your questions. Throw them at me. I'm from, like the hat says, North Carolina by Camp Lejeune is where I reside, a little bit near Surf City. But my sister bought me this hat for Christmas, so I wear it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm in the coastal North Carolina, and I love it here. I am Carmela George. Let me introduce myself. I realize some of you are new. I'm a VA accredited claims agent. What that means is like the DAV, American Legion, Wounded Warrior Project, Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, those groups are accredited as groups to do VA claims. I am individually accredited by the VA to present, prepare, and prosecute claims. And I love doing it. It's my passion. I go to bed thinking about it, I wake up thinking about it, and I love doing it. So I'm happy to take any questions you all may have. Throw them at me. I like tough ones, things that I have to go research. But anything that's going on in your claims world right now, feel free to ask me. And welcome to all those watching on replay. Remember, this is live, so I won't be answering questions on replay, but I hope you gain the same amount of information out of it. So let's go. Hi, Carmela. Can you share number or website we can use to check appeals processing time? I believe it's just the BVA website. I know the VA keeps a, let me look it up, a general kind of timeline. They put out reports every Monday morning. I'm trying to find a specific website for it right now. But every Monday morning they put out a report that talks about how many claims they have, um, how many appeals they have, how long it's taken them. If you just, I hate to say it this way because I like to give specific answers. But if you just type in Google VA Monday morning report, it will pop right up. Let me I'm going to put that link here on the screen. I'm going to put it, let me see here. I like this. I get to use all my functionality. I'm going to put the link here on the screen to check the Monday morning report and other detailed claim data. Benefits.va.gov/reports. and that will tell you all about what's going on with VA claims, the load the VA has, and how fast they're processing claims. Now, if you want your specific number in line, you're going to either have to call the 800 number 1-800-827-1000, or you're going to need to go on va.gov, and it will tell you your number in line. The VA also has an app. I believe it's called VA Health and Benefits on the App Stores, Google Play and the Apple App Store, where you can download it and see your number in line. So definitely use those resources. Hi, Carmela, I have a question. Feel free to ask. Let's see here. Let's get this out the way. When do your books open? I am likely not accepting new clients until January, but of course, when I am, it will be posted on my website. But I'm likely not accepting new clients until January. I'm just jam packed. I take everybody I can. I don't hold back, but I have, um, a number of clients right now, and I don't want to make anybody wait longer than they need to wait. So I do have some referrals on my website should you need to find other assistance. But yeah, I'm probably not taking clients until the new year. On my website, it says after November 14th, and the new year, November 15th, and the new year is after November 15th. Good question here, Leah. Any interesting updates from Nova? So I was thinking about this. I was sure somebody was going to ask. And I think that my biggest takeaway from the National Organization for Veterans Advocates conference I went to last week or the week before last week in DC was that the VA is going to be moving very quickly towards electronic notification, especially for advocates. They believe that there is some energy on the hill towards that type of thing, and they're going to try to capitalize on it while it's hot. The mail situation has created an interesting dilemma for the VA. Like Mr. Thomas Murphy said at the conference, there are very important legal notices sitting at the government printed offices that should be in people's mailboxes. And because of that, they need to find solutions. He was asked about how long it's going to take to resolve, and his answer was 3 to 6 months. That's totally unacceptable. Um, if you are being reduced and you don't get your notice till a month or two after, you can request a hearing. That's not really any type of notice, and the VA has a duty to notify. So that was my biggest takeaway from the VA folks. I had a lot of takeaways from all the presenters, but the biggest thing from the VA is that they're going to be moving towards electronic notification, especially for advocates. I don't know if that means that they will be posting rating decisions online or delivering files online or that type of thing, but my hope is that it's fully encompassing the things a veteran needs to be informed faster and make better decisions. I also learned that they're about to open up functionality for notice of disagreements online on va.gov. Those are 10182 forms, which should really help. The problem with that is they have no plan right now to open that up to representatives. So how are we supposed, if the veteran, it's great that the veteran can file for themselves, but if you want the veteran to be well represented, then the representative needs access to those tools too, to be able to file supplemental claims, higher level reviews, and notice of disagreements online. So the chairman of the Board of Veterans Appeals said she was pushing for that every day. It just hadn't got a lot of traction with it yet, but yeah, those are probably the most interesting takeaway from the NOVA conference. For any accredited representatives out there, I really encourage that you join NOVA. It's a wonderful organization. I learned tons from it and my colleagues around the country who answer questions. We have a forum where we throw out questions and people answer them and that type of thing. And then there's 2 conferences a year, one in the fall, one in the spring, where we get together and talk about all things VA. So I learned a lot from it, and you know, I'll be sharing more knowledge as we go along. Washington, D.C. I'm 100% PNT, but I want the VA to service connect my diabetes. They denied it, but I had a nexus letter. Should I pursue it or leave it alone? This is a very interesting question, and it's a very important decision. If you're already 100% PNT, how long have you been 100% PNT? That would be one of the considerations I would have. Is your rating protected under the 5, 10, or 20-year protections? I don't know that that would be number one, but it would be one of the considerations I had. Is there any benefit to you to add diabetes to your list of service-connected disabilities? I mean, does it cause erectile dysfunction or female sexual arousal disorder where you would have some special monthly compensation or something like that? Do you feel like it's something that makes you terminally ill and you want to leave benefits for your family? If there's some reason besides validation, and I understand validation and making the VA admit that the military caused it, I totally get that reason, but I don't think that should be your only reason. So I think that you should have reasons beyond that that you want to get it service connected. And what I'm asking you is, what's the most important reason? Just make sure that you consider it well, because you know when the VA opens your file, they can open your whole file. If they find an error, they can reduce. So you know it's quite a decision to make, but that's one that you have to make yourself. My hometown is Williamston, NC. Most don't know where it is. I know where it is. So half hour from Greenville. Hi neighbor, Mr. Bonds. How does VA rate central vestibular disorder? Off the top of my head, I don't know what that is, but vest- vestibular makes me think that it's something with the ear, and if so, it's rated as an ear condition. I could be wrong on that. If so, clarify. Is obstructive sleep apnea easier to attach secondary to migraines or back and leg issues? I have a VA sleep study and VA machine. Thank you. If you don't have records in service, yes, it might be easier to attach to those things. Can you talk about, one second, let me get that off the screen. Okay, where was I at? Can you talk about how long-term disability payments may affect a veteran who receives TDIU payments? It won't. Long-term disability is not considered earned income. As long as you are not an employee of the company anymore, you're not actively working or employed on the payroll, you can get TDIU. That is my understanding. Can GERD be secondary to anxiety? I see it almost weekly. Yes, it can be. Is fibromyalgia considered presumptive if I was in Kosovo in 1999? I know it's considered presumptive to Gulf War illness. Is if Kosovo is considered Gulf War, then yes. Geography, I'm going to be honest with you. Geography is not my A game, my forte. So I don't know where Kosovo is at, nor do I know if it's part of the Gulf was part of the Gulf War. So you have to forgive me. I'm just going to be honest and lay it on the line. Geography, I can't tell you where Colorado is right now. You know what I mean? I can tell you what South Carolina is, and Virginia and Tennessee, because I live in North Carolina. I saw that you are my representative. Will you contact me when you're ready to do my claim? I certainly will. Thanks for Let me be your representative, Ms. Tosh. SF 180 for our clients is no longer working. It's been more than a year. How can we help vets get DD 214? This sounds like it's coming from a representative. And if you're a representative, it is vital, it is necessary. I cannot stress enough that you need to get electronic access to the VA systems. I just had an attorney friend tell me the other day, she had been working in business a couple years without VBMS and finally got access. And she says, I don't know what kind of law offices I was running before I got VBMS access. I mean, my practice has totally changed. It's you can get access to your client's files within days with electronic access. So if you don't have electronic access, this is my opinion, and I'm known for giving my opinion on these lives. I don't think you are best serving your clients. Um, you do not have to wait a year for files anymore. There's no reason you should be doing that when you can get them within days. So please move toward getting electronic access for your client's sake. How long does it take to get temporary 100% for a total knee replacement? It should take like a normal claim 2 to 3 months. It doesn't move any faster or any slower. Any talk on development for denial? You might want to get private medical evidence and go back at them, but you really need to look at the reason for denial and overcome that reason. In every VA rating decision, they tell you exactly why they denied, or they should, most of them do, tell you why they denied the condition. And that is the reason you need to overcome. It's one of three reasons. Either you didn't have a situation in service, you didn't have a nexus, a connector between the condition in service and a current disability, or you didn't have a current disability. That's for direct service connection. And so, you need to overcome one of those three reasons. Can sleep apnea be secondary to tinnitus? I get this question every live that I do. And in my opinion, my personal opinion, I'm not a medical professional, nor do I work for the VA. I do not believe that it can be. I know some doctors believe that it can be. So if you are pursuing that, you might want to find one of those physicians. But for the most part, I see it denied. I have a question about sleep apnea as a secondary condition. Okay. Hi, Ms. Goodwin. I just want to thank you for all your help and information. I just received payment from the VA after my husband died in December 2020. I didn't get any back payment. Should I be expecting a payment I filed in December 2020? I would think so. I would think that you are due some back pay, and if they don't, um, if your husband was retired, they might be doing an audit before they pay that back pay. But if he wasn't, then I would ask for an audit of your account. Just to makes the VA go back and do all the calculations over again and make sure they paid you everything. Just call the 800 number and ask for an audit. Should I apply for sleep apnea secondary to low back and sciatica or migraines? I have a sleep study and VA machine. If you believe those conditions are causing your sleep apnea, I would definitely go for it. I want to leave benefits for my family. That's a very important consideration when you're pursuing these claims. Um, you need to make sure that you have good representation and you claim everything that you can get service connected, or you qualify to get service connected. That's the easiest way to make sure your family is protected in life insurance in the event that you should pass. The VA also offers life insurance. Every time you get something service connected, you have 2 years to apply for their life insurance. And I believe that benefits have increased recently. So that's another great way to make sure that your family is covered. Can insomnia be claimed secondary to PTSD? You could claim it secondary to PTSD, but there's really no point in doing that. This is why I say this. You can only be rated for one mental health disorder, and any other mental health disorder that you might get service connected, all they would do is change the name. They would say PTSD with insomnia, and you would likely get the same rating, if not get reduced. So you don't want to open yourself to the possibility of reduction. If you have 70 or 100% for PTSD, it's probably not worth pursuing the insomnia. I have been waiting 10 plus years for my service connection, but I keep getting remand and appeals letters. I had a senator check on and still nothing. Is the VBA working on expediting this process? Um, Expediting, I don't know, but they are working on and prioritizing legacy claims. So, legacy appeals claims, which are appeals that were in before February 2019. So, it's very likely that your appeal is going to be put at the front of the line because it's a legacy appeal. This is what I would say to you. You might want to get a representative. If they keep remanding it and bouncing it back and forth, the VA is not doing something the BVA is telling it to do, and that's probably causing you a lot of frustration. I had BPPV and central vestibular vertigo. Which will the VA rate? Benign positional vertigo. They will rate one or the other. I can't tell you which one, but whichever one is considered the predominant disability, that's how the VA terms it, it's the one they will rate. I fall under the Mission Act medical care. Why has the system become so complicated? You can't get doctor's referrals for care. I've been 9 months now trying to get referrals for diabetic eye exams, thyroid exams, etc. Last year you could pick up the phone and they were done. This year they won't even hardly pick up the phone and it's next to impossible to get referrals. For Mission Act situations, I highly suggest you go through your local congressman. That will get you the appointments you need. I'm talking about on the healthcare side. I don't necessarily recommend that on the benefits claim side because sometimes that you just get lost in the fog when you contact the congressman. But on the health side, it really does help. Kosovo is a no-go for Gulf War presumptive. Thanks, Leah. No, Kosovo can't be considered. She's a trusted source. Hi, can GERD be secondary to sleep apnea? I've seen it before, not a medical professional, but I've seen it. Any information on a regulatory procedure review claim? Everyone, including the VA, has given me different information. Thanks. It's probably just that some regulation or procedure has changed, such as a NEMR claim for Agent Orange, and the VA has ordered another review of the claims file to see if you were denied for some reason that you can now be approved for. That is most likely what is happening. But the correct answer to your question is it could be any number of reasons they're re-reviewing the file. And so without having looked at the file, I really can't tell you specifically, Ms. Jones. That's probably why you're getting so many answers. Hey, St. Lou, thank you. Can you claim for claustrophobia and PTA separately or just one claim? You can claim it separately as two different conditions, but you're only going to be rated for one mental health condition. So they might rate you for claustrophobia with PTSD or PTSD with claustrophobia, but you're only going to be rated for the predominant disability, not both of them. Why is it so hard for vets to get information from VA after CMP exam? This is a good question. I think there's a couple different reasons for this. The VA doesn't want vets getting mad at doctors and contacting their doctors and that type of thing. They make it where you can't get the information from the contractor. It has to come through the VA. Um, and generally, they're while they want your input, there's only so far into the claims process that the VA allows veterans um, to go. So, like, you don't usually don't have your whole file. You can't really see the step by step what the VA is doing. You can only see the generic movements on eBenefits and VA.gov. I mean, it is sort of a mass process. So, um, why is it so hard? I don't know, but they should make it easier. Is there any way I can get my Article 15? Yes, you need to request your military personnel record. Let's see. I was diagnosed with PTSD, but for almost 2 years, I have been suffering with IBS, urinary incontinence, and insomnia. Are those issues secondary to PTSD or should I claim them separately? You can claim IBS and urinary incontinence separately, but insomnia is rated as a mental health condition, so there's no point in claiming that separately because you can only be rated for one. How does a new theory to service connection affect back pay? This is an interesting question. It can affect continuous pursuit. So if you, let's say you have filed for um, insomnia and you get denied, then within 365 days, you file for insomnia secondary to back pain. That insomnia rating should go back to the date where you first filed for insomnia because it's been that condition has been continuously pursued. So, a new theory of service connection can help you gain continuous pursuit of your claim, which would produce more back pay. I think I just answered this. Can sleep apnea be connected to? Oh no, this is different. Can sleep apnea be connected to rhinitis? I believe so. I've seen it a number of times. What does it mean on a letter that says favorable findings identified in decision? PTSD denied, but diagnosed of adjustment disorder with mixed anxiety and depressed mood. Hmm. It probably means It means PTSD was denied, but the examiner diagnosed you with adjustment disorder. And it probably means they should have went back and asked the examiner, was your adjustment disorder service connected? And they did not. So I might put in a higher level review for that and ask them to go back and get a medical opinion for adjustment disorder. I put in a claim for GERD and headaches on the 1st. They checked all info submitted and contacted me to have a CMP exam on the 2nd of next month. Does this seem like it'll be a positive outcome? Really, those are neutral actions. I mean, you submitted a claim, they're giving you an exam. You won't really get a feel about whether there's a positive outcome until you get a feel for the examination and the examiner. But I do hope it goes well. Hi, Miss George. I have prescribed by the VA, but I have prescribed by the VA omeprazole for GERD, but I'm not service connected for that. Should I apply for it? If you had a problem with GERD in the military, yes. If you didn't, you might want to try to claim it secondary to something else. I'm rated 0% for insomnia, which is secondary to sleep apnea. How do I increase my insomnia percentage? 0% for insomnia, in my opinion, is absolutely insane. It should have never have happened, and you should put in for an increase ASAP. You just need to put in for an increase and go into the examination and tell the examiner about all your symptoms, how it affects your daily life, how being fatigued affects your social relationships, your relationship with your kids, your relationship with others, your coworkers, all that good stuff. and really just lay it on thick, and it should not be 0% anymore. 70% service connected for PTSD 2017. Can I file for TDIU if I can't get a hold of my doctor? He retired. Can I just use a vocational specialist? Yes, you can. You can file and you can use a vocational specialist. Hi from Eastern NC. Hi, neighbor. Have you heard anything about presumptive status for Fort McClellan vets? I have not. I hear a lot of about being 100% PNT. Is it true that the VA won't ask you to do another CMP exam even if you show improvement? They won't ask you to do another CMP exam unless you open up another claim with the VA on a condition that you're already rated for and you show improvement. So if you're just going to the VA health side and showing improvement, they will not open a claim. But if you open a claim yourself for a condition you're already rated for and you show improvement, you're likely going to be reduced. That's why you really have to weigh filing more claims after you become 100% PNT. I claimed acute, hey, Mr. Smith. I claimed acute sinusitis presumptive condition for Gulf War, and the VA removed and said file for supplemental claim side. I was denied by it in 2014. What do you think about that? I think that's normal. If you have been denied for a condition previously and you're trying to file to reopen it, it must be filed as a supplemental claim. So that's absolutely normal. Can I still work if I am 100% PTSD, total and permanent, received in December 2019, and I'm also receiving SSDI from Social Security? Social Security says I can work under the Ticket to Work program, but I think CFR 38 says that 100% rating for PTSD means that the veteran is unable to be employed. Am I able to obtain employment, or will the VA try to take away my total and permanent? So if you are permanent and total with PTSD with the VA, you can work anywhere you want. The only restrictions you have are the restrictions that SSDI puts on you. This is a very good question. You do not need to worry about what the VA says about you working. The VA says you can work if you are total and permanent. So the VA will not take your rating away if you work. All you need to worry about is what Social Security says. I went for my CMP and the examiner didn't look at my migraine log. She says it's too much information and she doesn't need it. There's also something that my neurologist wrote in his notes on my last appointment in July that I still suffer from migraines every week, but my severity decreased. Will this affect my rating? Possibly it could. She's not obligated to look at your migraine log or anything that you bring into the appointment, only what's in the record already with the VA. That's why I suggest that you file all evidence with the claim, that you don't file evidence after you file a claim, but you file evidence with the claim. And that note for just because the severity decrease doesn't, if it doesn't, you still have the frequency needed to get a rating. So it might be that your migraines don't produce severe economic inadaptability, but you do have them very frequently. In that case, you're probably looking at about a 10 or 30% rating. The VA keeps denying my IBS that started during a deployment to Iraq, but wasn't caught until years after deployment. It was being misdiagnosed. How can I get this service connected? You really need to get a nexus opinion that talks about the misdiagnosis and what it really was. Any advice on QTC CMP exams? I like QTC. I think they're the best of the three contractors, so hopefully it goes well for you. Well, I can say they're good here locally. I don't know how they are all around the country. As you know, some examiners are better than others and that type of thing. So I hope it goes well for you. Hi, thank you for all of your help on my claim. You're welcome. I was told I have to do the whole behavior exam for insomnia secondary to tinnitus. Are they going to make me go through all of my PTSD stuff denied or focus on the tinnitus already rated and insomnia? This is an excellent question. So, this is what I advise my clients. When you're going in for insomnia secondary to tinnitus and you've already been denied PTSD or any other mental health condition, you should still tell your whole story. You should talk about your stressors. You should talk about um, everything that happened to you in the military that contributes to your mental health. But you essentially want to say to the examiner, look, I believe I have a couple different issues going on. I know without beyond the shadow of a doubt that my tinnitus causes me insomnia and not being able to sleep. And that has affected my life in a very real way. But I also endured these stressors in the military, whether it was seeing somebody pass or other traumatic event that are also affecting my mental health. And I ask that you give both are all of these situations equal consideration. I filed a claim to get 100% PNT in 2018. Time passed, no word. COVID hit for a while. No word for a while. After making calls explaining what happened, they approved me 100% PNT, but wasn't approved from the 100 from the 2018 date of 2018. 3 years back pay. Should I fight it or leave it alone? Fight, fight, fight. They owe you money. I have been seeing a rheumatologist for my chronic pain and fatigue and still hasn't got any diagnosis, and I have to go back to see her for the third time. How do I get a diagnosis? You're just going to have to keep going. And then make sure you get your medical records and read what they're saying. In the letter, it also said a stressor is conceded based on fair easing standard for service in official waters off Vietnam. This is for the favorable decision. That's very interesting. Mr. Israel, I highly suggest you get representation and you fight that denial. It sounds like you had all the grounds to be service connected for PTSD, and they diagnosed adjustment disorder. I would ask for a higher level review, argue that they should at least service connected adjustment disorder in the event that they did not service connect PTSD. But you might need a PTSD diagnosis from an outside source. So consider that too. But I think higher level review is the way you want to go based on what you told me. I recently had an exam for migraines that lasted for 15 minutes. Is that normal? That's absolutely normal. There's not much they have to do for a migraine exam. There's just a couple questions they need to ask, and then they need to do the physical part of it. So there's nothing abnormal about that. Will you help me put in for increase? Unfortunately, I'm not taking new folks till probably the beginning of the year, but I have some referrals on my website, veteransdisabilityclaims.com or vets, VETSNC, like North Carolina.com, vetsnc.com. I have 3 referrals there, and I'm probably going to list some more that can help you in the event that I can't. Miss George, how can I claim IBS and urinary incontinence if I wasn't service connected for those? Can I claim those as a secondary? Also, I did serve in the Gulf. Yes, secondary is the way to go. Secondary to PTSD would be the way to claim those things. And because they've been denied before, you need to put them on a supplemental claim form. Good morning from Okinawa. Oh, wow. Hi. Retired January 13, EMG test, right arm, neuritis, March 14. I do nothing take. I submitted for carpal tunnel. Okay. Don't know what the question is there. If you're 100% PNT for mental health, would you advise working? Actually, I would. If you feel like, and I believe that studies have shown that working will help your mental health, that it helps your mental health, I would advise working, get out the house. You have some leeway to do something that you love, find a passion, find a hobby, and get into it. Um, so, you know, I don't think that you working. Well, I know you won't work and won't affect your 100% PNT if you don't open up another claim. So as long as you don't open up another claim, you should be fine. I was diagnosed with asthma while was WRMAC. I don't know what that is, and was told to drop it. I believe it started from low crawling for 2 weeks straight per training going down range at Fort Indian Town Gap. I have been using inhaler for about 8 years now. However, it's not service connected. Under the new presumptive, per the areas that I was in conditions, I do have sleep apnea and service connected. Should I be able to use this as a secondary condition? So this is the thing about sleep apnea and asthma. The VA considers it the same body system. So unless you believe you can get a 60% rating for asthma, which would be higher than a 50% rating for sleep apnea, it might not be worth the pursuit because the VA will just combine the names sleep apnea with asthma and give you the 50% if you are 30% or 10% or 0% for asthma. So you have to look at the criteria for 60% asthma and ask yourself, do you meet that criteria? And if so, then you want to pursue it. Are supplemental claims used for all denied claims or for just those within 365 days? All denied claims, all claims that have been denied previously need to go on a supplemental claim form. What are some mental conditions that can prevent you from working? Um, um, Probably any mental health condition can prevent you from working, but in terms of VA world, it boils down to what your rating is. Are you unemployable? Did you get a rating for unemployability? You have to apply for unemployability. So if you didn't apply, you can likely still work. If the VA hasn't told you that you can't work, then you can work. If I claim PTSD and already service connected for insomnia, will they group it together? Yes, they will. CMP examiner told me the VA only asked to verify diagnosis. I asked if a medical opinion was requested by the VA and he said no. By the way, an expert medical opinion was submitted with the claim from private doctor. That could be a very good thing. Because that means they're likely going with a medical opinion from the private doctor and they didn't need one from their examiner. Do you get the same benefits across the board for 100% IU versus 100% PNT? Yes, you do. Retired January 13, took EMG, nerve conduction test March 14, submitted December 19 for right wrist nerves, was denied. Took another EMG 21 that confirmed bilateral cubital tunnel and carpal right side. How do I go back in? New claim? Yes. You need to file a supplemental claim with the new evidence. A supplemental claim form 20-0995 with the new evidence, and that should be enough to open back up the claim. But really, you might want to get a private nexus letter because your nerve conduction test was outside the presumptive period by just a couple months. It sounds like it is service connected, but because it's 2 months outside the presumptive period, um, you might want to get an outside nexus letter. I was exposed to jet fuel between 74 and 77. I have diabetes, anxiety disorder, heart palpitation, sleep apnea, and skin cancer. I can prove jet exposure. How does that look? Um, those are difficult claims, but not impossible. You're just going to need some outside medical evidence. So get an outside expert opinion and go at the VA with all you've got. Why does it take so long to get disability claims approved? I have been 6 years now since I originally filed, and over 3.5 years since an appeal was filed by my attorney. The VA Review Board says it's in review, and I have a very good, the VA board says it's in review, and I have a very good case, but they've been telling me that for 2 years. I have an Agent Orange claim, and I know others with the same. Wondering why we should suffer from our issues for so long before receiving an answer on our claims. I know many who have died before receiving their claim. It is, the waiting time at the board is just ridiculous. It is. And it seems like it's getting longer because they're working on legacy claims and not AMA claims. The board chairman at the conference I was just at admitted that they're not meeting their goals for the 1 year for board review claims, the evidence lane, a year and a half, or the 2 years for a hearing. And so the wait just is atrocious. And I'm so sorry that you've had to wait so long, but it is so imperative that you keep waiting until they make a decision, because you are due your disability. You're going to get a better look at it at the BVA than you did from the agency, and it sounds like your attorney is leading you in the right direction. So keep fighting. Don't give up. Don't get weary in the wait. There's probably good things coming to you. You just have to wait it out. I have an over-the-phone CMP exam for migraines coming up in a couple weeks. What should I expect? They're going to ask you about what causes your migraines, the severity, the frequency, what you have to do when the migraines happen, and that's about it. Just a couple questions. I had a heart attack during a stent procedure at the VA hospital. I now have an AFib due to surgeon's error. Can I file a claim for 1151? You certainly can, and you certainly should, but I would strongly, in the strongest terms that I can use, encourage you to get an attorney for that type of claim. It's just one of those things where the veteran usually needs help, and the VA doesn't relent easy. So you're going to need somebody who can find the evidence of the surgeon's error. Unless the VA sent you a letter that said the surgeon made an error, blah, 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 one of those type of letters, that would make it a little bit easier. But claiming a 1151 claim is not easy, and I would encourage you to get representation. I have been granted 10% tinnitus and 10% hearing loss. Oh, awesome. How can I get a veteran representative? The VA let me find the website, has a on their website where you can search for accredited representatives. Let's see. Searching for accredited representatives. Here is the website. Let me post it. va.gov/OGC/access/accreditation/index. I'm going to keep that up for just a minute so you can see it. But that's the website to search for accredited representatives. That's the website to search for accredited representatives. There we go. Okay. Is a 0% claim filed as a supplemental or a new claim? Is it a non-claim filed as a supplemental or a new claim? A 0% claim is filed as a claim for increase, which is essentially a new claim. A denied claim is filed as a supplemental claim. Very, very good question. I'm service connected 50% for migraines. I am on med for anxiety and panic. Is it beneficial for me to file for the anxiety and panic attacks? Yes. I would file for that secondary to migraines. I was granted from a VA judge 50% for PTSD on September 2019. I then immediately put in a supplemental asking for an increase and also to continue to be rated at the date that was used for my original appeal date. The VA did grant me to 100% for my PTSD that was related to my military trauma that followed in December 2019, but they only back paid me to September, the date that they received my supplemental claim. Should I have been back paid to the original appeal date? Okay, so here's the important question in this situation. Did you put in a supplemental claim asking for an increase, or did you put in an increase claim? If you filed a supplemental of 20-0995, the VA should have went back to the original date of your filing for PTSD. If you just filed for increase, a new claim, they should have only went back to September. So I would fight the date if you actually filed a supplemental claim form on the effective date. I have GERD headache claim secondary to meds recently submitted. I had my pharmacist sign and write out the side effects of my meds. Does this seem like good medical evidence? It absolutely is. I got out in 10. I complained of sleep while in, but was never tested while in. I was finally tested in 17 and diagnosed with OSA. I've been denied twice for it. I claimed it as secondary to depression. I have till February 22 to file an NOD. Should I get a Nexus letter and file for a supplemental? I would. What would you recommend if your VSO is not responsive? I would either contact their supervisor or get a new representative. Good evening, Miss George. Anybody? Hi, Miss Barnes. So glad you're on with me. I have been diagnosed by a chiropractor with bilateral radiculopathy with sciatic nerve issues. I have been diagnosed by a chiropractor with bilateral radiculopathy with sciatic nerve pain. I'm service connected in my back. Can you claim radiculopathy and sciatica as claims bilateral? Yes, but you need specifically file it radiculopathy and sciatica secondary to your back. Secondary to your back. File a secondary claim, not just a regular claim, a secondary claim. Alrighty, guys, we've been on about an hour. That's all the questions we have for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching this on replay, thank you for joining us too. And I wish you all the very best on your claims. Again, I'm Carmela George, accredited claims agent. I love doing this, answering questions for you all. And I'll probably be back next month to take more questions. You all take care.